When a person begins to move into the nirvikalpa, they are in the sphere of enlightenment. Their personal karma is exhausted. And there is a kind of phase where you stay in that condition for X amount of time, and it's different for every person. But once the nirvikalpa happens even once, even for a second, the person has changed forever because they've stopped. They've come to the end. They no longer exist. And they have the opportunity to either merge or not. To stay in existence, completely void of nature, which is an extremely fantastic and transcendental condition, which gets us to the third stage of the path. And it's characterized by a quality of existence. This is what is called the Mahamudra. Having come to the end of individual existence, one is no longer compelled, karmically or samskarically, to exist. One continues to exist, empty and void. And this is a dynamic called the Mahamudra, the eternal seal, the eternal knot, or the great seal. Where having existed in nirvikalpa, even for an instant, they are forever stopped. Now there is an event of duration. For example, a being like Nityananda has existed in nirvikalpa for eons of epochs. And say there's another person over here that's just started their phase of existence in nirvikalpa. They've maybe done 1 life, 2 lives in nirvikalpa. This person over here has done, 10,000 lives in nirvikalpa. The basis of their experience is deeper because it's kind of like a saturation. It's similar in kind, but different. Thus, even among the realized, you'll have differences of manifestation. The process they went through is exactly the same, but unique to each, where they end up. Exactly the same, but unique. This idea of the existence, the Kalagni, the fire of time, existing both infinitely and finitely in eternity, totally void of any quality yet existent. Here one begins to enter an entirely new universe, because one begins to experience countless world systems that are arising and falling inside the phenomena of the 3 worlds, the envelope of the physical world, the envelope of the subtle physical world, and the envelope of the causal world, and the envelope of the supercausal world, which arise infinitely, which are neither infinite nor finite, eternally present. It is seen that although the infinite consciousness, which is beyond time, beyond space, without quality, arises forever, intrinsically bound with the manifestation of the creation. This is called the entrance into the Vajra world, where everything arises simultaneously and that is experienced simultaneously. The Vedic word for the Sanskrit word for this condition is called sahaj. It's a beautiful word and it translates as twin. In other words, one simultaneously exists in formless, infinite, formless existence and infinite existence of creation and form. Those beings that we characterize as the Vajra Guru lineage are all such beings. They, out of an act of total freedom, have achieved totality, are forever beyond all quality, outside of all time and space, yet remain in existence in the world of appearances. It is a paradox, which is why the impact of contact with a being, such a being, has such a dramatic effect. Infinite formlessness and infinite form arise simultaneously. Infinite consciousness and infinite unconsciousness arise simultaneously, focused on this particular point. Having traversed the entire spiritual panorama, they know the pathways, they know all the secret paths and all the doorways, the names of the gatekeepers of all the gates. And simply because you know them, or more importantly, they know you, they will move you through this panorama. This is the extreme power, majesty, and draw of the Vajra world. When you come into contact with it, it acts upon you in ways you can't possibly fathom until you hit the high ground. You are helped 1,000,000 times in ways you have not the slightest idea and won't know until you hit that high ground. And then you'll have this incredible realization that you've been helped all along. By agents, operators in the Vajra world. This idea of sahaj, twin reality, is incredible. And it is the third cycle. Those beings that we call the gods and goddesses, those beings that we call the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, those beings that we call the gurus. This is their condition. This is how it is possible when one finally becomes awakened enough, sensitized to the true world, the true reality. One can receive the blessing and grace of denizens of the secret inner Vajra world, changed and transformed in ways you can't imagine. This is really how a person becomes awakened in a single lifetime. It is a kind of super reality. I sometimes refer to it as the sphere of spiritual control. Very profound, very intense presence. Both the idea of the Mahamudra and the idea of the sahaj, the manifestation of the twin reality. The idea of the twin is the consciousness and unconsciousness. They're twins. Idea of the Mahamudra, intrinsically bound by an eternal knot and sealed. There's a kind of poetry to this idea of the sahaj, the twins of consciousness and unconsciousness, intrinsically and forever bound. Begins to appear and is experienced directly. When we meet and together under the auspices of an intensive or retreat, and of course even our Thursday sessions, the code of the use of the word intensive or retreat especially is that it will be a manifestation of the Vajra universe. It will be a manifestation of the twin universe. In other words, the complete scope of the Vajra universe will be present. And the beings that occupy all of the stages of that universe, or selective beings, various deities, gods, goddesses, gurus, protectors, all different classes of beings, will open their gate and involve everybody in the Sangha in a conversation of Vajra speech. Those kinds of conversations change you forever. They are the source of grace. They're the source and origin of blessing. They are the source of protection. Because they exist, you don't get messed with. And when you look at the kind of events, when you look at an intensive, you look at a retreat, if your consciousness is open, you'll see that you actually walk through a doorway. And during the time of that intensive, that retreat, you are no longer in this world. The Vajra world becomes dominant. Which is why I always make a point of speaking about entry into retreat and re-entry out of retreat back into the world. You are making a journey across the secret map of the three worlds.